Hi guys, and welcome to my Rogue Assassin guide. This is the best soul for the highest single target DPS for rogues as of right now, and it probably always will be, and it's actually really easy to play. So I'll be going over the soul tree points, your abilities and macros, and most importantly your rotation for when you want to deal that epic DPS. Enjoy. Right, so straight on to your soul tree points. As you can see, it's 61 in Assassin, so make sure you fully fill that tree up. Then we have 5 points in Nightblade, specifically 5 in Burning Rage to increase attack power and weapon damage. Then we have 10 points in Marksman, specifically 5 in Single-Minded Focus, which increases the damage of all attacks by 5%. And increased firepower, which your critical hits increase your weapon damage and attack power by 10% for 10 seconds, and as you'll be critting so much as an assassin, this is wonderful to have. Then for the level 61 to 65 masteries, we have Soul Steel, Adamant Resolve, Boundless Energy, Timed Focus, and Planar Conservation. Now when you start getting into the raids and you have the supports with you, you can get rid of Planar Conservation, as they will be having their own passive for this on all of your raid members, and you can swap it for Energy Manipulation to deal a ton more damage. Okay, so now onto your abilities and macros. Now as you can see, we've got 3 macros to start with on my hotbar, so I'll go over them first as they are the main things that you're going to be using. So we have Thread of Death. Now let me just find these abilities so you know what they do. So Thread of Death allows the next ability that requires stealth to be used whilst out of stealth, and this only lasts 5 seconds, so you need to make sure that you then use your next ability quick, which is Jagged Strike, which deals a ton of bleed damage. So this is very handy for during fights once you've already come out of your stealth. Then we have an Assassin Builder, so we have it to cast Debilitating Dart, which puts a debuff on the enemy, which basically means your attacks will deal more damage, snare and drain the enemy's mana, energy and power, which doesn't really matter on bosses, but if for some reason you're using this in PvP, then that will help. Then we have Backstab. Where is it? Here we go. So it deals quite a lot of damage, but it deals 5% less damage when you're not behind the target. So it can be used whilst you're facing the target, but ideally you want to be, especially in boss fights, you want to be behind the boss so that you can get that extra damage, and if the boss has a cleave then you won't be affected by that. Then we have Serpent Strike. Deals quite a lot of damage and also counts as a poison. Take note that the cooldown is set to 8 seconds if used after a critical hit instead of 20 seconds, but this is going to be really hard to micromanage because you'll be critting so much as an assassin that you may as well just put it into your builder, probably just to save a lot of energy of yourself by looking specifically for crits. Then we have Savage Strike, which is just a normal single target ability which deals a lower amount of damage, and then Swift Shot, which is your ranged version, slightly less damage than Savage Strike but can be used at range. Then we have our finisher. We have it to cast Final Blow first, which is our melee finisher. Here we go, which just deals a certain amount of damage, and then we have Hasted Shot, which is our marksman finisher, which is a ranged one, and it also increases your move speed. Then on my ability bar I have Leaping Plunge. Now this just leaps to an enemy as it says and deals a small amount of damage, and it also roots them, but unfortunately this doesn't work on most bosses, and it also counts as a poison, so that's another great thing to have. Then we have Impale, which is a finisher and it bleeds damage over 20 seconds, so make sure you always use this on 5 combo points. Then we have Puncture, which deals a small amount of damage but also puts a bleed on the enemy for 10 seconds. Then we have Expose Weakness, which increases damage taken from the rogue by 6% for 20 seconds, and it also doesn't break stealth, so you can use this whilst in stealth at the start of a fight. Also your finishers, I think it's a 20% chance to refresh Expose Weakness, so once you have first put it on the boss or whatever you're targeting, you pretty much won't ever have to put it on the thing again, as your finishers will just keep on refreshing it. Then we have quite a few abilities that aren't really needed: Blinding Power, Poison Gas, and Foul Play, you don't really need to have these, but I have them on there just in case I ever use this spec just for like casual play, and I want to stun or control a few enemies. Then we have a very nice ability, Poison Malice, which is a combat or self buff. Increases poison buff damage done by 125%, and also when hit in melee deals a certain amount of damage back to the attacker. So the poison buff damage increase here is a lot, and you want to make sure that you use this once you've used all of your bleed abilities. Then we have our slip away macro and our stealth. I won't really go over the slip away macro because you don't need it, just have slip away there instead. But on my invisibility bar I have elusiveness, jagged strike, hidden veil, and incapacitate. Then for our buffs, I'm pretty sure there's 4 poisons you can use, but you can only have 3 on at a time. Virulent poison, lethal poison, and malicious poison, so make sure you have those 3 active. And then for the masteries, remember we took planar conservation, so make sure that you have this on your ability bar, which is in your general tab on your ability spellbook right at the top in buffs, so make sure you have that on as well. Right, so now the part that you've all probably been waiting for the most is the rotation for this build. Now you want to go invisible first, and as I said earlier, you can put expose weakness on the enemy and it won't break you out of stealth, and it also won't put you into combat, or it won't aggro the thing that you're putting expose weakness on. So if you used this on a boss, it wouldn't actually aggro it, so it's kind of handy for that. So what you would do to start with is you would put expose weakness on and then go straight into a jagged strike to get that massive bleed damage done. And then we want to make sure that we get puncture off, so I'll just show you it in slow-mo and then I'll go into fast mode after. So expose weakness, straight into a jagged strike, and then puncture, and then we need to use our backstab once, and then we use our impale finish, and then you just keep on spamming your macro until you've got 5 points. Use your proper finisher, so this one here, and then after about 15 seconds into the fight you then want to use Thread of Death, because once you're basically when you come out of stealth you have an ability which means you deal more damage. So about now you want to use that twice, get that jagged strike out, and then you can just keep on spamming. Take note you also have Poison Malice so that you can deal 10 more bleed damage, and you just keep on spamming away. Build up that, build up the points using your macro, and then make sure you always apply puncture and you always apply impale, just so that you can get the bleeds out 24/7 and deal an absolute shit ton of DPS. Okay, so now I just do it in fast mode so that you can see the kind of DPS that I'm pulling off with my gear. So let's have a go. So there you go, as you can see I'm easily hitting off more than 40k DPS, and I can pretty much sustain that. I could do this for about 3 minutes, but I'm sure you guys don't want to see that. And that's it for today's guide. Hopefully you have enjoyed this, and hopefully it's helped you out an absolute ton with how to play Assassin. Please remember that if you do enjoy the video, make sure that you like it and also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content. Please also look out for my Twitch stream at Rogues Abyss on Twitch, so that you can see me live streaming lots and lots of Rift. I'll be doing a lot of PvE content, a lot of experts. Unfortunately I won't be able to stream any raids because my guild won't allow me to as of yet, but I'm sure one day in the future they will allow me once people recognise how to do bosses, but basically it's just so that people can't copy our tactics. So thank you guys again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in my future videos or within my stream.